Good afternoon. Afternoon, perfect timing. Everyone seems here. A couple people still joining. I'm throwing this video on because this is a person. Dennis, your question is in Facebook posts now, is that your class or there's one made by Unity people? Yes, it's the one made by Unity people. It is for beginners. You mostly are ahead of this class. But it's going to be taught for mainly, it's going to talk about parts of beginning Unity development and really only Unity. But you are probably ahead of that class already if you were able to get into follow me in what I've done so far. That class will catch up to where we are, but we're going to be on to a different subject when it catches up. So let me explain what I'm talking about. If I can open a browser. Okay, so that class need a browser. That class is, am I not sharing? Oops, my fault. Sorry about that. I thought I had this great, thought you guys were watching what I was doing, but it seems like I wasn't sharing. All right, let's try it again. All right, so this is the class that is going outside of my class. This is one in which they're going to do this live coding exercise where you're going to learn how to move around, sound effects, and this is just basic Unity. You're going to be pretty much ahead of this already. So just so you know, that's that. And what I was trying to show you just now, which I thought I was sharing, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and share this again. I thought I was sharing this, but I guess not.
Okay, I guess that's roughly a shape of a helicopter.
It's a gentleman actually doing what we're going to do next week. Which
front view, one on the keypad, G to move that one to there. Here we go. Now we need some windows. You have to see out of this thing as well. So and then I've already got the boundary, so I'm okay with that. I to inset this one, and then these I can actually do I twice on, so I get the individual. Shift select these, Alt-E, extrude long normals in, and maybe that should do. And then let's just.
Can somebody verify you can see my screen?
Change the whole color of the helicopter to like this, maybe that one. Okay, so that's our main part of the chopper. Now let's do Control R here. Actually, it looks like it's a bit too long here, so let's shift select that, bring it down.
Okay, so this person,
scale it up a little
as you can see, he has a countdown going here.
Okay, that's gonna have to do.
What he does is
now I think
builds models,
extrude or something here to get a bit of a more aggressive shape. Like I twice to get inset sorted.
And
E to extrude, S to scale.
How
E to extrude, S to scale it on.
And usually all shortcuts. I am
maybe
not
we'll
this
move
fast,
these
so I don't
up a
do this
little
for a
bit
living.
so it's a bit
Obviously
bulkier.
he does, but
And that should be.
he's
And
able
these
to
down
do
maybe.
this in 10 minutes or less. I'm
There
not
we
going
go,
to
and let's
show
get
the
one
whole
of those.
thing, but I wanted
like a
to
wing
show
here
you
that
just
they mount
how
all
fast some of these
the
people are
armament
and the
on, or
buttons
whatever
they
you call it.
use. You can see there.
The warheads and the rocket launchers and everything like that.
You know,
So
I'm
maybe
familiar
like
with all the
this,
keys.
E to extrude that on,
as
S to
this
scale
person
it
does.
and bring it down. So that's that. We need engines as well. So here, let's do select these two edges, right click on one of them and do subdivide.
But I did want to, I'll fast
Let's
forward.
rotate these to make them look a little bit less perfect here as well. So L to select that one, R to rotate to there maybe, and here. Select this and do global first, medium, rotate X90, scale it down, and let's bring that one in.
So you can see here, it's basically all shapes.
Okay, 20 seconds, let's do G. So we'll just have to make something.
Manipulating the.
That could be a weapon, a low poly weapon of some sort here. Let's just do inset, E to extrude.
And extruding those shapes.
Should probably have individual holes on this one, but it could just be some sort of a rocket firing thing for now.
I'm going to fast forward a little
origin,
bit more.
And then we'll do origin to up. And then I do some radial blur on it to create just like a spinning disc with lots It's a bit
See if we
difficult
can
to
get
see
the
now
end
because the
for
just in a
time
helicopter
here.
this week. I do this all the time, often, very much every build I do, every model I create, I do a lot of stuff with the comma and period to switch these around. It'll save you a lot of time and make
Okay,
it
so that's the end of this
fast to
model.
model
Pretty
for you.
good for 10 minutes, I think. And this is that live coding session. So again, it's basic. You're probably, what's his channel name? His channel name is, what is his channel name? Great question. What? Okay, his channel name is Infizna. So let me see if I can share his channel with you. IMPHENZIA. Yep, there you go. Okay, yeah, really fast, really good. Yeah, I would suggest that you definitely take a look at his channel. Okay, so we're gonna today. Did anyone get a different link to the Zoom meeting and didn't see me there on Friday? Because I couldn't join on Friday. Yeah, I see there's a few people that, whatever reason, ended up in the wrong meeting on Friday. All right. Okay, so let's get into today. Are we allowed to do 2D? Yes, yes. Yeah, if you're, yeah, you can create your game in 2D, by the way, for those of you that are thinking about your game that you're gonna create. 2D, it's not gonna be any easier because your game is, if it's in 3D, yes, you'll have another dimension to deal with, but some games you really doesn't even matter. So if your player is on the ground, then, and then all the objects happen on the ground, then it doesn't matter. But you can create a 2D game. I'm just not gonna be covering 2D because it's a little bit easier than 3D. All right. Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about before we get started, and that is you can also follow different tutorials that talk about other special areas of Unity. So nested prefabs, modifying colors. We're not going to get into that only because we don't have time. But once we get past this 3 weeks and we get into like more called nuanced subjects, then we can do that. Right now, I'm trying to give you guys the basics so you can run out and start learning more and creating your own games. But then at some point, we will definitely want to get into like a little bit more specialized things. But you got to think, crawl before you can walk, right? In crawling today, we're going to learn how to code within Unity. So you should have downloaded Visual Studio. I'm going to get into that in a second. And I'm going to put up on the screen the tutorial that I'm following, so you can just follow along if you want to. Today we're going to use what's called Creator Kits. This is a starting tutorial. It's about, as you can see here, about 50 minutes long, maybe 2 hours long, but I'm gonna condense it. It says 3 hours, but I'm gonna condense it down into about 35, 40 minutes because you guys are really smart and fast. And then what we'll do is if people aren't keeping up with that, then what I'll do is slow it down later on. But what I want to get done today here is I want everybody to write some form of code before, or at least see me writing some form of code before today is over. So that gives us 40 minutes. We got to move quick. Right. So what I'm going to do is fire up Unity, and it's firing up in the background. Can't see it because you're not on my screen. It's not on that screen, but I'm firing Unity up, and you can too. I prefer you followed along and watched me. That way, if I clicked somewhere and you didn't understand where I clicked, then you can at least see. Number one thing is in building a game is that games have a random nature to them in order for them to be successful and good. There's some games that you can code that you can code every level and everything that every part of the game can do. And those games, those are okay, and that's fine. But then the best games aren't repeatable in the same fashion. In other words, you can do something one way, and then 2 seconds later, you can do something different. So what we're going to be creating is a game that kind of looks like this.
If you're getting started with programming, the Beginner Code Creator Kit is a perfect fit for you. In this Wild West-style action RPG, you'll explore Rancho Rotadora as the Sheriff Moose and protect it from the evil cacti. By following the tutorials on Unity Learn, you'll explore the fundamentals of C# in about 3 hours, from understanding how to read a script to creating your own variables. To begin with, you'll be introduced to the concept of variables. This is an important concept to learn because it is fundamental to storing data like the character stats or parameters for certain behaviors. For instance, how far the health potions are spawned from a center point. You'll also understand how functions work and when they are used. Functions are a great way to avoid writing lots of repetitive code. Not only will you know the reason behind functions, but you'll also write your own to simplify your workflow. You'll also learn how to make variables accessible from the editor, so you can edit their values without actually opening the code. This is a great way to test your variables while the game is running. For instance, you can change the character's speed while seeing the result in real time. The project will also allow you to review the fundamentals of using classes to organize code. Once you start understanding the logic behind programming, it is important to start separating each behavior from your game in their own class to keep the project organized. You'll see in the project that there are classes for a lot of things, such as the character movement, item collection, and even enemy stats. You can even see more in detail how some of the incredible pre-made assets from this project are used in the game. Why not explore the project folder to see all of the art that was made for the Creator Kit? If you're not already there, head over to Unity Learn to follow the step-by-step tutorials for this project. When you're finished, you'll be able to share your customized game with your friends. Get started on the links below and find our videos on further modifications to this kit at the end of the tutorials. Enjoy!
Okay, so again, this is where you can go to get the tutorial. If you want to follow it along by yourself, or see, there's chat. Let's see, what's the chat about? And select project, select tutorial. Okay, where do you go for critical? I'm gonna show you guys all that stuff. So I see there's a lot of questions.
I need to download it. I don't have any more questions about it.
Okay, yeah, you have to download it to get started, but remember you're following me today, so yes, you can try to follow along the links if you want, but you know, I'm on the screen, it's easier. So what I want to talk about before we even start looking at this tutorial is one of the first things that you learn when you're developing anything is that you need to have a good set of creative ideas and understand how your architecture is going to work for your game. So in other words, you need to have a story for your game, what it's going to do, and a little bit of the understanding of how to organize your game. So if you think of like a game like chess, chess has a chess board, it has chess pieces, The pieces can work differently on the board. There's different rules for each piece. And there is a strategy to win the game, or several strategies, but there's a strategy, a general strategy you want to take to win. And as the person playing moves up in their difficulty, you want the game to get progressively harder. So that's a high level of chess. And chess has pieces, and it has a board, and it has rules. So if I think of any game, it kind of falls in the same category. There's some kind of board or scene. There are some kind of pieces, meaning that your main characters or the enemies and all those things. And there are some kind of rules behind it. So far, we haven't talked about any kind of rules. We've only talked about the board and the pieces. And that's, I'm oversimplifying this, but that's pretty much how it is. So what we're going to do is get into the actual development today. And you can follow along with this tutorial if you want. After we get out of this class today, I suggest that you do actually go to the tutorial and try it out. And let's see, that's that coding live session. If you wanna go to that one. And I'm also posting the tutorial that we're on right now. Okay, so what you're gonna do first is download the project, just like we do every time. And if you click on View Tutorial, then it'll pop open this screen that we're looking at right now. And then you're gonna open the project. It takes a while to open, so do me a favor and watch me. Don't try to do this now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is once the project is downloaded, then you're going to save the project. Why you want to do that? Well, it's simple. You don't want to lose it. You want to have it to be used again. Just like we've done before, nothing new there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get us started here. And my screen's already ready to go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, again, after we saved our project, so for you to save, here you have your scenes here, you have project, you click on save or save project. And if there's still that bug in the save project, what you can do is just click on basically close, and well, there's no close here, but you can click on this, keep, and now you're gonna save your new Unity project. For this class, I'm gonna put everything in Unity. Let's call this code tutorial. Okay, so there it is, it's saving. Shut down, great, so I have to reopen it. While it's reopening, should happen fast because I've already been in here before, or many times. Yeah, so it's starting right now. While it's restarting, what we're gonna do is do a quick review of the editor and all the windows in the editor. Should take a few seconds. Matter of fact, I'll do it on the, just show you here while my page is loading, so you don't have to wait for me. So here are some of the things that we've already talked about, just briefly. The inspector window, project window, scene window, hierarchy. We're going to talk a lot faster than we've done before because you should already know this stuff, and this is kind of review. Down here, all the possible things that you can put into your game. This is what the objects look like that are already selected. So you can select them here, 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 or here, or here. and the object window, the inspector window will also change. So here is stat right there. We should already be comfortable with that by now. We've already talked about the toolbar and grabbing and resizing and all of that, navigating with the mouse. So we're way ahead of these other folks in this tutorial. We talked about prefabs. And so just for now, let's just try this game just as it is right now. All right, that was awesome. Nothing there. But what I can do if I want to just try a scene of this game, so I'm going to go to Creator Kit. And let's try out a scene. Here's an example scene. Okay. So now if I click play, and I don't even know how this game goes. I've actually never really paid attention to it or seen it. I see I have a character here. I can move him around. Looks like I'm moving him with my mouse. There's health potions. I can grab them. There's, looks like I can fight something here. Can I fight the horses? Oh, and I can break the barrels. I can walk around. There's a bad guy, looks like I'm fighting him. Awesome, got rid of him. There's another one. All right, you get the gist. I'm not here to play the game, here to show you how to code these games. Okay, so again, with my screens, I can move them around. I can resize things as appropriate. I like to see my views. And it looks like with this game, it's an expansive little part of the map. It's a pretty big scene. And I can scroll out with the mouse wheel, if you recall, to see the whole thing. And that's pretty big. It's a pretty big game. Lots of objects. Okay, so we kind of went around the game a little bit. It wants us to review some in-game things, so we're going to go back and play the game for one more second. And I can click on inventory, and there's nothing in my satchel right now. But if I move over, now I have something in my satchel, right? And then I can actually use whatever that is, like a health potion. To use it, I need to double click some icon to use the health potion, right? Okay, so I have never played that game before, neither have I ever looked at it. So that was a good first experience to play that game. We talked a little bit about programming, and we really didn't get into how computers understand instructions. The reason why we didn't do that is because I think most of the people in this class either were in my prior class or they're pretty intelligent. But I'll give you the most basic understanding of how computers understand you. Computers read in ones and zeros, which you probably heard that before, which means it doesn't really understand what it is you're saying. So when you speak to it, it's no clue what you're talking about. It does, however, understand something called machine language, which is basically on and off. And those on and off groups can be clustered in a way to do something intelligent. So what that means is, like when your mom says, clean your room, you recognize that instruction right away. But there's lots of other little layers to that instruction, like clean your room means pick up the toys off your floor. It means put your books away. It means take the empty rafters out of your room, food that you ate, or if you're allowed to eat in your room or not. And it means, make your bed, et cetera, et cetera. So you're able to understand that nuanced instruction, just like a computer can now understand nuanced instruction. And how that's done is computer understands something called machine language, which is ones and zeros, but you understand the same kind of thing. So you can digest and break down instructions in the same way. When you do that, it's called high-level language. So if I said to you, clean your room, you understand it means lots of different things, and you break down that instruction into sub-instructions. Same thing with a computer. They can operate off of high-level languages too. And one of those high-level languages is C#. I've been coding in C# for, I don't know, 13 years, maybe more than that, I don't know. It's been a long time, since the beginning, basically, of C#. And that's the reason why I chose this class to do it in C#, is the language I'm most familiar with. But you can code in a lot of different languages. Go, Golang, Python, C++, Java, plenty of languages. This one is about C# only because I enjoy C#. Sorry about that. So anyway, so let's quit that. You can see, let's go ahead and stop right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the level design here. So over in the hierarchy, take a look at the level design. And this thing called potion spawner. If I don't, oh, by the way, I'm going to start showing you other little things that I use quite a bit. So if I don't see something right away, I can type in there into the search bar, and I can grab the thing that I'm looking for. Okay. The only thing about it is then you have to click out to go back to your whole full menu. But these are little things that you can pick up. Also, there's ways of hotkeying search. We're gonna get to that maybe eventually. So anyway, in the inspector window, there's a script in here. So wow, all right. So that's a new thing, script. Does anybody know what a script is?
How something is supposed to happen, like sometimes in TV shows they say.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So, and those of you in my robotics class know that a bit about coding. I think that was Braden that was talking. Yeah, program without a UI. Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, what this is basically a here's what to do when you happen to come across this particular thing that you have to do. So here's basically here are the rules. Here's the set of information you need to perform some type of action. So you can imagine like scripting your morning routine, like the thing you do every morning, whatever that is. Hopefully it's like get up and brush your teeth and use the restroom, right? Imagine scripting something like that for a computer. That is actually part of my job, is what I do. And it does have a lot of information. So you think like it's simple to do these things, but it's not. And just think about it for yourself. Like if you had to script your like morning routine, what that would be like. Yeah, probably not. It's probably like insane. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is click on the spawner sample. And what happened, I can't show you what happened to my screen because, well, maybe I can. Let's see, stop sharing. It's gonna be kind of a process. Stop sharing, share screen one, share. Okay.
Wait, what happened?
What happened to my screen is, it's not doing it now. It actually, it tried to open this file and ask me how I want to open it. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I sharing the correct screen? Do you see where it says how do you want to open this file?
Wait one second. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, good. All right. So it's asking me how do I want to open this, right? This is a C# file, and this is the language that we're going to be operating in. So I have many different ways to open this file. This is one of many apps that I have that can digest code. The primary that I use with C# is Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. So I have both of them on my machine. We're going to use Visual Studio 2019. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open up. and it's opening my second window, of course, and I actually want that, so I'm going to switch back to my second window.
How much RAM does your computer have? Just wondering.
32
Okay.
gigs. Yeah. Yeah. I have crazy that, but don't try to have my machine. It's like ridiculous. You don't need it. Because I do machine learning on my computer as well as a bunch of other stuff. So, all right. So here we are. It opened up Visual Studio. I have it already configured. So yours is not going to open like this. It's going to open and say, first time user at Visual Studio, click all past that. Just forget about that. It's going to ask you if you want to change the coloring, how you want to experience Visual Studio. Don't even worry about that. Okay. Unity says failed to import package. All right. I'll work with you guys on the failures. Let's just follow me for the moment, and we'll try to help you toward the end. And it might be, let's just say it might be because you have a different version of Unity. How do you open the script? You just double click the script and it opens. Okay. Okay. If you double click the script, it will open. Everybody get that? It doesn't matter. Does it matter if I have Visual Studio Code instead of Visual Studio? I would say no, maybe. I just don't use Visual Studio Code for gaming. I'm sure you can. I think that this file will particularly open because it's just a CS file, so it's just a C# file. It'll open. Whether you'll be able to do, I can't tell you what you'd be missing right now. I have to think about it. But let's just go ahead and double click it, and if it opens it up in Visual Studio Code, great. I'm happy that it did that. Okay, so yes, this is going to be hard for some of you because what you're looking at now is code. If you've never seen it before, I'm going to break down what's all here. First thing at the top, code typically follows this kind of progression of there's some type of declaration of a class, and I'll explain to you what that means in a second. There's some kind of Holden says, I don't see the code. Does everybody not see my screen where I'm showing the code right now?
I don't see the code.
Oh.
I just see I see Google.
No, that's not good.
Me too.
All right. I don't want you to see Google. I want you to see code. Here we go. How about now?
That's good.
Okay. Good. Excellent. All right. So I'm gonna move a little faster, by the way. So if I start to speed talk, you guys let me know. Slow down a little bit. So this is how the kind of code works for the most part. Usually, in most languages, most modern languages, you start out with this thing called basically a header, and in the header has all of the outside packages and things that you want to use. So just to make it simple, for those of you that have never coded before, if you are, let's say, you've never driven a car, most of you, that's a good reference. And in order to learn how to drive a car, you need information that is outside of your knowledge. That's the same thing here. What's happening here is using this statement called using, or if you've seen in other language, it might say import. And the reason for that, or include, if you were in C or C++, it's telling you to go get a file or go get some information from some other place, right? This is the Unity engine. It's saying go get that information from there. And then once you've gotten past get the information for Creator Kit code, then this thing is called a class declaration. You don't have to worry about what all these things mean today, but just remember this is like the heading of your report that you're about to write. This is how that class is going to be referenced later on. So if I said, say I was defining a car, I would say public class car. And this thing says what it's inheriting. So don't even worry about it. I'm showing you this, but I don't expect you to know this all today. But this is just how C# works. This is inheriting this mono behavior. So I don't know what mono behavior is. We can find out, and I'll show you how to find out. You can go to peak definition, or you can go to definition. Find out what mono behavior is. Okay. And then what else is going on here? It wants to create an object. So this object is called object to spawn, and it's a game object. So Visual Studio doesn't really know much about what this is yet, and until I build, it's not going to know much. Okay. Then in here, finally, we're getting to the actual what we call methods or functions inside of the game. So when you start the game, there is an initial set of parameters that goes on. And I could do something called init as well, so I can define it a different way if I wanted to. This is just so you, is a class a function? No, class is not a function. No. And let me explain that. So I'll use the pet reference. So if I was creating a class called pet, the class is called pet, and in the class, the pet will have several functions like feed pet, take pet to the bathroom, water pet, pet the pet. Those are functions. Those are things that you can do inside of the class pet. That's what basically a function is. So we're going to talk about functions and attributes and variables, and we're going to get into all that. But right now, know that this thing is a function, and the function is called start. And don't even worry about what this is. I'll get to void and all the other things that return types and all that. We're going to get into, it's going to get a little deep. So for those of you that were complaining that it's not very moving fast enough, it's going to move. All right. So in here, this thing is called a variable. So what a variable is something that can change over time. I know this is a variable because it's not something called static. So it can be manipulated over time. So this is called a variable. And then, so this angle is variable, and right now it's set to 15 degrees. And in Visual Studio in C#, when you finish a line, you type in the semicolon when you finish a line. That lets the code, the thing that's reading this code, know that you're done with whatever it is you're trying to say on that line. Otherwise, it'll just keep reading the next line and next one and next one. In other languages, it's not so simple, or it might be even easier, like Python. It's just keeps reading and reading and reading, never stops, and it's only separated by indentations. Okay, so don't worry about not knowing what all this stuff means, but I think you can figure it out. Like if you had to read this, you would say to yourself, well, this is an angle, so I'm setting this angle, and it looks like at the very beginning, you know that word transform, so I'm changing the position. And then here, this is the direction that it's going in. And Euler angles, you don't have to worry about that yet, but we're going to get there. We'll talk about that. This is the spawn position, so basically where I'm going to show up. And a lot of times in code, or you should write code that it's easily digestible. So someone else can look at your code and figure out what's going on there. So I'm going to briefly pause and started with C#. Syntax was a pain. Yes, C# is actually one of the easier languages, even though, but now in current language standards, it's not. But it was one of the easier languages. As a person who came from C, like I used to code in C, in Objective-C and C++, I can tell you the C# is way easier. You don't have to worry about garbage collection and all this other, more difficult concepts. But what we're going to do quickly is we're going to watch this video, see if they can explain this better than I can. But if not, I'm going to re-explain it.
Variables Variables are used in computer programming to store information that can change. When you're playing a computer game, for example, the points you've scored and the number of lives you have left are stored as variables. In programming, a variable is like a box. You give the box a name to describe its contents. And once you've created your variable, you can give it an initial value. Place your item, in this case, let's say the number of lives a player has at the start of a video game, inside the box. To change the value of the variable, take the original item out of the box and replace it with something new. If the player gains health in the game, we take the number of lives they had before and replace with the number of lives they have now. Variables make computer code more flexible. Let's say you want to record something different, like how many gems a player has collected. Since this number will change throughout the game, we store its value as a variable. Start by creating a new variable called gems and giving it a value. When you want to use it, just use the variable gems. This way, you can easily refer to the current value of gems in your program. So, it's super easy to use the number of gems that a player has to affect other elements of the game. For example, the number of gems might be turned into more points. When you create a variable, you need to do two things. Firstly, define the type of information that will be stored. This will tell the computer how much space to save in its memory. Secondly, name the variable. This is so you can retrieve the variable easily. An example of the data you can store in a variable would be a whole number called an integer, or a line of text called a string. You can create a variable for a player's name in the game, so when a new player starts the game, they can choose their own character name, and it will be stored in the variable player name. Using descriptive names that explain clearly what the variable is helps you understand your programs more clearly. So what have you learned? Variables are how you store data that can change. The data stored in a variable can be an integer or a string. Variables are useful in code as a way of saving time, writing cleaner code, and, if you name them clearly, making your programs easier to understand.
Awesome. So that's a high level of what a variable is, but they actually said something that was slightly incorrect. They said integer or a string, but variable can be almost anything. So I can create variables of custom objects. I can create variables that are floats, that are Booleans, true, false, all kinds of stuff. So we'll get into that. And then there's something called a constant. So if variable is something that can change, what do you think constant is?
A constant is something that never changes. It's like always the same.
Yep. So if I create this variable angle equals 15, great. But if I said constant int angle equals 15, what do you think will happen? Somebody? Well, I'll tell you, you won't be able to change it. So I wouldn't be able to say angle equals 55, basically. All right. So
yeah, I learned the function, like I learned that stuff from functions and stuff from 8th grade.
Okay. So, all right. So we're flying through this thing. We've introduced variables. So the name of the variable is which one? Which thing? Will it give an error or just skip the signing lines? Oh yeah. So yes, Dennis asked a great question. Yes, it will give. If I say constant int here, and then I try to typing on the wrong keyboard. If I say constant int here, when I go to run this, right now it will let me do this, but when I go to run, it will definitely bomb out because I won't be able to assign a new value to this angle. So here are a couple of things that you should know. The name of the variable is called angle. The type is here. And anybody know what int stands for?
Integer.
Integer. Excellent. So an integer is a kind of number. Does anybody know what kind of number an integer is?
Isn't it like negatives and positives with without decimals? Wait, no. I kind of forgot.
It's a real number. So
Yeah.
yes, so it is yes, it could be a negative number, it could be a positive number. So it's not one in which can't be determined by imaginary values. So it's a real, just know it's real. Remember that. It has a certain amount of decimal place syntax, not a whole lot, right? Yeah, and somebody said the computer would get confused. Yes, computer would definitely get confused if you try to, if it's running this and it said, okay, you can't change this angle, but you just try to change the angle. It will give you something called an error, and that error will be what we call an exception. So we'll get into that when an exception is eventually. Okay, so somebody just drop in the chat when you find it. What is the last angle that's being assigned? Anybody? Nope.
I said 0 because of where it says 0 angle 0.
Nope. Anybody else? Good try though. 95. Excellent. So just ignore all this other stuff for a minute. And everywhere that angle equals something, that is where the angle is being recalculated or actually updated. So it's angle equal 55, angle equal 95. Now, where you got confused, Braden, and understandably so, is in here. This here is another kind of function, and we're going to get into what kind of function this is. So this is a function. Yeah, this is a function within a function. And usually inside of here are hundreds of other functions. Like the quaternion and Euler angle are inside of each one of those is some kind of information, some kind of definition. Though we can't do that in here. But inside of this are other functions, and inside of those are other functions, and inside of those are other functions. And in most really, really good programs, you have tons and tons and tons of nested functions and tons of nested classes. As you can see here, this class inherits from this class, just the opposite. This class inherits from this class. And inside of this class are functions. And inside of that, its parent class are functions too. And more and more and more and more up until you get to something called the most parent hierarchy. So we're not going to get into all that, but let's just say that the last angle that's being assigned is 95. Okay. This is tough stuff if you've never seen it before. So we will have to, spend some time here to make it make sense for you. So now it wants us to find the instruction for the spawn distance. So if I'm looking for the spawn distance, how would I do that? First thing I would do is just look around and see if I can figure out what these kind of things mean. So I remember that transform has something to do with where something is and what it looks like, the size and all of those things. So I would remember that here. And then this word position says to me that this is the position that it's currently at. So transform position gives you the spawning position. Okay. I don't expect you to understand that today, but just know that this is the reading code. You don't have to know which everything that you're seeing here means, but just take your best guess at what things look like they might do. Like vector 3 means something that's going to be in 3 dimensions, right? Direction, well, that probably means the direction that you want the thing to spawn in. Who knows? We'll see. Instantiate means to start, right? So this is kind of English and kind of not. Just remember, a computer thinks, but it doesn't really think, but a computer operates based on things that it knows, and only the things that it knows. It cannot actually, we're getting closer to making them create new things, but those new things are based on things that it knows already. So we can only talk to it in ways that it can understand. Right. Okay, so let's create our own variable. And that's why I said today we're actually going to get to hands-on keyboard and write code. If you were able to get to this screen, kudos to you. If you are not, remember to, you can email me and I can talk to you or your parents and help you get to this area. Don't get lost and quit, because this is hard. This is not easy. We started out with 16 kids and we're down to 13, and thank you for those that say videos get uploaded to. Yes, I did. The videos do get uploaded to YouTube. They are, I'll put it in the link if you go to my Facebook page, Tinker Academy of Livermore, it's on there as well. The link to that. I don't know what you're saying, but I noticed a few of you already followed me on that page on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll send out that link. All right, so before we end today, we're going to all, Siri, you gotta mute yourself, man. We're all gonna actually create a variable. Okay, we're gonna create a variable called distance. Radius. How do you expect that we would do that? First person, blurt it out.
Oh, well, first you would have to like define radius, wouldn't you?
Where do you open this file? I forget. So I'm gonna just click back over here. So what I did was, real quick, potion spawner, and then down at spawner sample script, I double clicked on spawner sample, and then it asked me if I wanted to open it up in Visual Studio. That's how I got here. Okay. And then the question from William, William, I will help you right after we're done with this one little thing. I'm sorry, Braden, can you repeat what you said again?
Well, first, don't you have to define like to the computer what radius even means?
Maybe, yes, yes. Sometimes the computer knows words like radius, but in this case, I'll take that. So, yeah. So here's how I would define radius. I would say, so I have my angle here. So I would say, what is a radius of, say, a circle? Anybody?
It's like the half the diameter.
Yep, something like that. Not quite, but 2 pi r. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yep. An area of circle, pi r squared. All right. So here, I'm just going to declare the variable int radius. And just for completeness, I'm going to give it a starting radius. Just for completeness. In this case, I'm going to say 5 because it asked me to put 5. But usually, what I would do is, if I'm going to, this is declaring the variable of type integer equals 5. So the value inside of this integer, variable is 5. Now, this means nothing to us right now. This is not actually allowing us to do anything with this. It's just saying that the starting value inside of this location is an integer and it's 5. That's all this says. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
3 o'clock, so I know folks have to go. So we're actually going to just put one more thing in here, and we're gonna be done for the moment. Since we're spawning these objects, and we're creating 3 of them, and I don't know if you noticed that by now. I'm sorry, you're spawning in different 3 different objects. What we're going to do is add the radius to all of them. So spawn position, instead of direction times 2, which this is a radius, I'm going to take that out and put radius. All right, so copy that, paste it here. Okay. If I start typing, so if I do this and start typing, it'll show up. Everybody see that? So I'm going to just back that up, click on type R, and there it is. The first thing that I should show up should be something you typed. Okay, we are ahead, kind of. We got through half that lesson, so we're gonna, and it was a 2.5-hour lesson, so we moved a little bit slower, probably because we started late. So anyway, we'll get through the rest of this lesson tomorrow. And for those of you that have any questions or any problems, I think William, if you want to stay on, I can help you out. Anybody else that needs help, I can stay for a couple minutes. Thanks, and otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.